Okay, so happy Funpocalypse Day. We've got some kids here, so they may come in. I don't know what's going to happen. But I just wanted to talk about where we started and where we are going, and kind of how this whole thing came about. Our team is busy, like buttoning up all the things. So Reginder's sending me stuff and we're setting up email records. So I may get distracted. So sorry if I'm a little bit weird. But I just want to rewind the clock of kind of where we started this whole thing. So 2 years ago, 2 years and 8 days ago, I was working for a med tech startup as their head of innovation and ended up getting laid off. Company was not performing financially well, ran out of funding, and that's just kind of what happens in startup land. So I'm 49, a week before my 50th birthday, and I end up showing up. I'm like, if I'm going to get laid off, I'm going to go in style. So I show up in my leather pants, my social distortion shirt, because I'm planning on going and seeing my husband play that night in his band. And I'm like, I'm just going to go in my Louboutins and go show up and pick up my stuff. And so I did. Startup, no severance, and see you later. Good luck, right? We're sorry. And just that's what happens in corporate America, and it's whatever. So I had some crazy things happen, which is a whole other story for another time. And so I ended up like getting really depressed. So I had applied for I had started launching a YouTube channel, which is a chief innovation officer back then, which is how to use AI to do software design. All right. So I thought this was gonna be my thing where I was gonna make money and I didn't have to work for the man anymore. And we'll just say it failed spectacularly and humbled me in ways that I I could not have expected. Um, so finally, I'm like, I couldn't even get my friends who knew me to go watch this class for free, right? So, and I was prompt engineering how to design software and all this stuff. So finally, I'm just in this funk. I started applying for jobs and I applied for hundreds of jobs, right? So I'm not a neophyte, right? Like I've got two degrees. I've got a business degree, a global business degree. I have an MBA. I have uh, I have over 25 years of technology experience. I was a coder, so I do technical product management. I've been a CTO. I've worked in Fortune 500. I worked in startups, and so could not get an interview to save my life. Right? I submitted hundreds of resumes and got zero interviews. Like zero, 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 zero interviews. Like I'm like, here's my YouTube channel, right? Like, so nothing was working for me to find a job. And so one of the things that I had done that just helped me through my depression was I actually launched a YouTube channel, right? So this was my Seeking Gamma YouTube channel. So I'll just share my screen and so you can see it. Okay, so I was kind of exploring playing with different AI models. So making images, making audio, and honestly, kind of some of the things that I was doing was just trying to deprogram myself. So seeing what kind of imagery it would create, seeing what I could create. We started out on our channel with doing, I'm a nerd when it comes to meditation. I've been measuring my brain waves for many years now with different commercial devices. So, that's where we started was we were doing meditations and then we would measure our brain waves and live stream them, thinking people might like that. And we'll just say, it's kind of boring. So the things you learn when you launch on YouTube. So then I just started, going through and creating beautiful AI imagery. So learning how to use Midjourney, learning to use a lot of different AI tools. I've been using 11 Labs to modify my voice, and just, many, many different things. And so finally, at the beginning of the year, I started working and creating, more video meditations, right? So it really started, here was I created this flower of life meditation. And I had cobbled together this whole thing, right? Just by hand. Generate this video, put it into OpenShot. All right, generate another one, right? Over and over and over, rinse and repeat. Then I started automating the process. So Claude, I've been coding with him since I learned he could code. And so Claude and I created all these scripts to go call the API calls. And so then we started automating the whole pipeline, right? So generate the voice, here's the theme, here's the voice, here's the transcript, generate the audio, generate the visuals, generate the video, right? And then compile it into a video. So something that was taking me hours actually ended up taking 5 to 10 minutes and in-person time. And then it would just take the AIs however long it took to generate the assets. So this was where we started, right? So I ended up going on this epic road trip with my friend, and coming back. And I'm like looking at the technology, and I'm like, the technology exists today where you can go and create a movie, right? Like it's clunky and stuff like that, but I'm like, I think I could build this, right? So I go and I work with Claude, to generate the mock-ups, right? So in one day, I got 14 screenshots done, right? So this was a record for me. And it looked like we haven't changed the mock-ups from what was created over a year ago. And so, I remember a year ago, I had hoped to get it done then, and, the universe just wasn't with me. So I go and, I'm just describing it to my family. They had come over for my birthday, and I'm like, okay, we're lunch at Cinemachina. I bought the domain. I, started working on the mock-ups and was describing how anyone could create movies and, just having fun with it. So, I end up, we'll just say, there's a whole story, but, I end up meeting my friend in Malaysia to go launch Cinemachina. So he flies, so I meet with him in June. And so this was May of last year. I'm like working on Cinemachina. In June of last year, I got a trip to Hawaii. My friend lent me her house for the month. And so I got to hang out in Hawaii and kind of figure out what I was going to go build. And I had a bunch of other things I was trying to launch. And so I reconnect with Rajinder Singh, who is my co-founder. And I tell him what I'm working on, and he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I had planned to meet my friend Rick in Malaysia and stay with him for a month. And so we end up going, and so I booked the flight to Malaysia. So Rajinder doesn't even know what we're working on. Right? So I have like 1,000 different ideas that I'm working on. He ends up flying with me to Malaysia. He gets there first. I get there second. And he's like, okay, Crystal, what are we building? I'm like, what do you mean? What are we building? Have you been listening to me? And he's like, yeah, well, what are we building? So we start building Cinemachina, right? So where we started was, first of all, I had to learn how to use the AI tools. So we started with our Rise of the Machines music video, right? So just manually like running these clips. These are all with Runway. The music was made with Suno. The lyrics are by Grok, and it was just fun, right? So just brought me so much joy that we could go create this music video. I'll play a little bit
Just mushrooms with a pixel pop beat. Dude, AI crew bringing heat to the street. Make movies, not meetings. We're taking the crown. Cinemachina's here. Let's burn the house down.
So just fun song, just makes me happy to go create this, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, I have our theme song. So when we're in Malaysia, we have this plan to go launch the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm like, all right. So while we're in Malaysia, we did so much work, right? So in 4 weeks, Rajinder got I gave him screenshots, he got it working. He's also learning uh, how the APIs work for all these pipelines and all the stuff, right? And so we weren't quite done when we left Malaysia. I thought we were going to be done in 4 weeks, but then I got home and then it turns out, oh, well, yeah, we kind of had a vibe coded mess, which would have been problems for support. So, having worked for a lot of different companies, I'm like, we have to be able to support our clients. And so we spend another 6 weeks going and kind of cleaning up the code and getting everything ready. While I'm in, so I had flown back after Malaysia, I'd flown back home to Hawaii, and I'm sitting with my friend, and I'm like, let's come up with this movie concept. And he's just this funny, crazy man. So he's like, okay, we're gonna create a movie about in the future that, aliens have invaded and they've enslaved the men, and the men get picked up from the dog pound, right? They've lost their memories, they've lost control, right? So we create this video, right? And so just early version of Cinemachina, just making content. So
anymore. They soar now, unhindered to their full potential. With the help of our advanced technology. And for those who can afford it, superior husbands, courtesy of our alien tech.
So the concept of this movie was that the aliens invade, and you can get a dog pound husband, or you could buy a robot husband, right? And so just crazy film. We'll end up redoing it because it's actually a funny concept. I just don't have time right now. And so we end up going and making this film, and it's just funny and fun and all this stuff. While I was in Malaysia, I also found out that my husband had filed for divorce. We were kind of on that road anyways. I had said, hey, I want a divorce. And he actually said, met with the lawyers and surprised me to go to go file the divorce. So it was, husband name versus Taggart. Right? I was like, oh my God. Right. So as I was in Malaysia, I was kind of processing this. So we created this Do Better Barbie movie, and some of the words that came out of our Ken's mouth actually came out of my ex-husband's mouth, at different points during really hard times. Right. So it's showing me sitting here depressed on the couch, watching alien videos, because I'm like, at this point, I'm just hoping I'm on the Reddit subforum, hoping the aliens will invade because my life sucks so bad, right? I'm just like, hopefully the aliens invade, and I'm just like, I can't find a job. I'm just sitting on the couch, hopeless, looking for jobs and all this stuff. So you can kind of see, her knee is in the middle of the keyboard, it's backwards, and it's just crazy. But for me, from a processing the emotions of kind of a really amazing relationship really imploding in a short period of time, super therapeutic, right? And so, I would see all this stuff in the LinkedIn ecosphere with the therapist being like, hey, I can't replace us. And it's like, yeah, have you checked YouTube? They kind of are, and a lot of people are reporting they're doing better than you guys are. And they're talking about the senators blocking the AIs, and just all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world, where people are just fundamentally, they don't understand it, right? So I'm on the side where I am creating movies and songs and all this fun websites and all this fun stuff. And everyone's like, oh yeah, we're scared, right? So for me, this movie was really just a therapeutic release of like getting some of this toxic energy out of my system, right? And actually one of my friends who's also kind of having some marital problems. She said, you know, this kind of echoes for some things that me and my husband are going through. You know, so I had created this movie, just super proud of it. And it's a little wonky, you know, I'm like, you know, there's different scenes in here where I put in some Easter eggs. You know, I'm like on THC on a regular basis. There's some brownies in here. You know, I'm talking to Claude, how great he is. You know, Claude and ChatGPT were my therapist during this time. Just, you know, just having fun, right? So we created this in Malaysia. Again, I had just using the tools and bundling it together before Cinemachina was done. So we finally get the Cinemachina done, or done enough for our Kickstarter campaign. At this point, I'm just on a hope and a prayer. I have no money left to go build this thing. Reginder's working because he believes in the product and believes in what we're doing. And so I'm like, all right, this Kickstarter is going to work. So I go and create this video for the Kickstarter for a Runway ML contest. And we use Runway ML as one of our video pipelines. And so I create this AI generated movie. Again, you know, technology is clunky, but the story was pretty powerful, I thought. Yeah, so I'll just show a little bit of the clip here.
You always were a hopeful fool.
Recording a video, so thanks for.
You need to get your head out of the clouds and your feet on the ground.
But I still have something that I need to create.
We can't do this anymore. You have to choose between me and this.
Maybe this time, maybe dreams come true. Still hoping.
Okay, so that was the movie that we created. And again, it was another movie where I was trying to process my divorce, right? So I would like, the universe is going to give me money. And so I'd play the lottery because it would, for $10, it would buy me hope for the week, right? So just, you know, just trying different things to see what's going to work so we could capture the Kickstarter. Well, that ended up failing spectacularly. I had spent 2.5 weeks building this movie, Barbie 2 Plastic Nation. So on a Friday morning, I hear that America Ferrera is like, hey, let's go make Barbie 2. and Ken McConaughey can be king of the Kens, right? So this thing goes off in the Twitterverse, and I was like, I could go make this, right? So I spent $350. We don't have lip sync in here yet. And 2.5 weeks to go. It took me 3 days to go create the scripts with the AIs. So I worked across ChatGPT, across Claude, and across Grok to go get some funny jokes, to go write the script. And then a lot of the things were kind of peppered with my own experience, you know. So in this film, Barbie so the premise of the film was she comes back to the real world and she tries a bunch of different jobs. So she's like a barista, and she's like, how hard can this be? And, you know, we'll just say jerks show up and try to drag her down. Then, you know, so then she's like, okay, you know, I'll go to coding school, right? And so she and Ken Simulu's character from Barbie go to coding school together. And so so that was kind of the premise, and just like a fun story to write. But what was fun about it was a commentary on kind of what it's like to be a person in this world. All right, so King Ken shows up, and he's and his campaign promise is, you know, everyone's a 10 out of 10 in America the Beautiful, right? And so, you know, he's got beauty coins that are the new cryptocurrency where people can go get plastic surgery and launch their Instagram careers and all this stuff. Just a ridiculous farce, right? Just sarcastic things, you know. She starts looking for jobs, and so, you know, some of the things actually happened to me, right? So
he's from MIT, built his own compiler at 14.
we've already interviewed
Then
someone,
why am I here?
and you're
Diversity metric. HR needs one female candidate per role. But hey, if you can reverse the binary tree on this whiteboard while explaining blockchain.
The job I'm interviewing for is a junior developer position.
We like to see how people think under pressure.
Pop quiz. Implement a red-black tree in your head while I time you. Do you think you can handle that?
The job description said HTML and CSS.
Anyone can center a div, but can you optimize a B+ tree traversal in OLog to the n-space complexity while explaining monads?
all right. So as a nerd, I thought this was funny. I showed it to my sister and my son, and they were like, we don't get your nerd humor, right? So, you know, where they did laugh was when the characters were drinking wine from their forehead, or they had 4 fingers and stuff like that. So we had some fun, and, you know, it's not an amazing film, but it's an hour and 47 minutes that I made in 2.5 weeks for $350. So for my first film, I'm pretty proud. You know, I came back to India to meet with Rajinder, so I stayed with Rajinder and his family. And so this was in November, and so we ended up adding in some video lip sync. So Rajinder's working on a film about Vishnu, about Sati and Sati and Shiva. And so here's our clip for that.
The cosmos requires balance. Brahma creates, I preserve. And Shiva must destroy the old to make way for the new.
Okay, so that's where we're at now. And so what we've done since that time, we've integrated multiple pipelines. So we've got, you know, Grok integrated, we've got for images, ChatGPT is integrated. We've integrated Kling AI, Veo 3, all sorts of video models. So now we're able to expand this. And so today is my 52nd birthday. It's Funpocalypse Day. So we're having a party here in our office in India. We've been here working here for the past 6 weeks, getting ready for launch as good as we can. We're launching film summits and author summits and AI and AI summits, so you can co-create software and assistance with AIs. And so we're super excited about what we're creating. The technology is ugly early, right? But what I'm really proud of about what we've done is we are able to, as the models improve, you're able to reproduce your work, right? So you can rerun your script and your video prompts to go regenerate your film. So you could go do the same film, for 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, until you get to the Steven Spielberg quality, because it's coming. It's coming. It's not here yet. But the other piece too is crafting your story skills as well. So, it's learning how to craft a story, learning how to direct a movie. And I actually fired myself last week. So we've hired somebody who's going to be our chief cinematographer and is going to take over the role that I have been doing. And he's working on some amazing stuff. We've got Crystal's theme song about AI sycophancy. And if you don't know what it is, just look it up. It's actually interesting. But that's coming soon. I'm hoping today or tomorrow. But we're creating this platform. It's a bring your own keys platform. So you can make as many movies as you want. As long as the software works on your machine, you can use this machine forever. We didn't want to do a SaaS where you keep, you have to pay every month, even if you make movies or don't. And the other piece too is we didn't want to deal with the security stuff. So our first version right now is a desktop application that works on Macintosh, works on Windows. Linux is launching soon. Our next version, we're working on OneMachina, which is a creation platform that is web-based where you can create and share your content. We'll port Cinemachina into that. So people who buy Cinemachina now, the desktop version, will also get the OneMachina version. So they can basically go hit publish to their own, create their own YouTube channels on their own domains and their own servers. So we're super excited. We're super proud. And, I'm hoping that, we can go, my vision for this platform is really to go create new creator jobs, right? And marketplaces, can you visualize character packs? Can you visualize story plot lines? Can we remix movies and make them crazy? We live in an amazing time, and now it's time to go use our imagination and see what we can create. We're in these early, awkward teenage braces and acne years of the AIs. And there's some people who are doing incredible work with AI generated film, right? So they've got kind of the technical prowess between how to use it and the visual storyteller view. But anyways, welcome to the Funpocalypse. We're not going for a job apocalypse. We want to create new jobs through our platform. And, that's what we're going for. That's what we're doing here. And so thank you for watching this video. And I'm hoping you come and join the Funpocalypse.